If you're a content creator in Utah and you need a place to film, check out Utah Podcast Studio. If we thought disabilities were hard in the United States, like we learned a lot when we went to Africa about.
This particular trip, we took 280 wheelchairs to Ethiopia, distributed them to people that were in dire need. It was unreal to...
Someone is getting injured in these third world countries and they literally do not have a way to get around. It's not confined to a wheelchair. Like a wheelchair gives you freedom. Like the confinement is when you don't have a wheelchair, when you need one. I actually was very envious of a lot of things over there. They live just such a beautiful, more simple life. Heather, one of the founders of Share the Hope, she gave just a beautiful little speech to the mothers before we did the wheelchair distributions, and the moms were just in tears, and it's almost like they felt like they couldn't express emotions. They were kind of like sheepish about like wiping their tears.
People just don't realize how amazing a wheelchair is for somebody that doesn't have the means to get around. As soon as they got into a wheelchair, oh my gosh, they're like zoom, 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 cruising away and cruising around and like...
Well, imagine like just the only way that you have to get around is by somebody carrying you. But once they get in the wheelchair, it's like, man, that's full freedom. Like I can go this way if I want, I can go that way if I want, and nobody else can tell me otherwise.
So if I ever lose my mind, I'll be fine, 'cause you're my silver lining. And if my world comes crashing down, I'll be fine, 'cause you're my silver lining.
We are super excited today to talk to you about our trip to Africa. It was a life-changing trip. We learned so much, and man, if we thought disabilities were hard in the United States, like we learned a lot when we went to Africa about what a struggle actually looks like when you have a disability. So we have lots of stories to share. One story in particular that we'll get to later with a 16-year-old boy. We're going to call him Matthew because we can't remember or pronounce his name, his Ethiopian name, but we're going to refer to him as Matthew, and you'll see why later. But he was injured in a landslide, paralyzed about 9 months ago. But we just wanted to say first and foremost that all the proceeds this month from this, like ad revenue or whatever we make on this episode, are going to go to help him. So we'll tell you his story later. But if you could like and share this episode, it would really help Matthew out. So yeah. And without further ado, let's get into it. Like, Dan, you want to talk about why we went, who we went with, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so a couple months ago, we were approached by some pretty cool people, Nate and Heather Ogden. They have a social media platform as well called Rolling with the Augies, and then another one about their foundation, which is Share the Hope. Let's see, right in there. We got Share the Hope. This is just one of our shirts that we had for this particular trip, but their nonprofit, Share the Hope, is an amazing program. They go like 4 times a year to different locations where people are in need of wheelchairs and don't have means to get them. And this particular trip, we took 280 wheelchairs to Ethiopia and distributed them to people that were in dire need. It was unreal to see how the need for these chairs by so many people. It was incredible. Really changed my view on wheelchairs a lot. And I feel like I have a pretty gratuitous view about wheelchairs already, but as far as not being a detriment, but being like something that's positive. But oh my gosh, man, these people over there have been waiting for a way to move about for years, some of them, and their poor moms and family that have been supporting them and moving them and carrying them. Jeez.
Let's dial it back a little bit before we get into like Ethiopia. Let's talk about like the stigma of being confined to a wheelchair. And for those of you that are recently injured or those that use a wheelchair, those that have loved ones that use a wheelchair, I think it's something that normally able-bodied people look at as like a I don't
Like a
know.
sad thing. Oh man,
Yeah.
he's in a
Like,
wheelchair.
oh,
She's,
poor him. He's in a wheelchair.
yeah.
I think when you first get injured, I know when Dan's talked about when he first got injured, it's like, that's kind of the focus. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to use a wheelchair now. But I mean, really the sad part and the tragedy is obviously that you're paralyzed now. And then the wheelchair comes in and actually gives you the freedom that you need to be able to move freely, right?
Yeah, I think at that point, yeah, once you're dealing with the fact that you're dealing with paralysis or some life-changing disorder at that point, like everything else starts to become an asset and like some form of independence, whether it's the wheelchair or hand controls in a car or a ramp to your house, or like it's all things that are and should be probably looked at as a huge positive and a bonus if you've got it and a way to get it. And
our eyes were open to that so much on this trip because like before, to us, we completely took for granted the fact that you get injured here and you get a wheelchair, like your insurance covers it, or you can get donations. We have all kinds of resources, like facilities that help to get people wheelchairs if they don't have them. But like never really thought about the fact that someone is getting injured in these third world countries and they literally do not have a way to get around. Like, I mean, there were moms with 13-year-old kids strapped on their back showing up and to get their wheelchair, and literally some of them have never left their homes before. They're in bed all day. They're not, also disability is looked at completely differently over there. They're not included in society. They're not going to school. They're not going to festivities or church or religious holiday celebrations or anything. They're just kind of literally confined to their home. So it's not confined to a wheelchair. Like a wheelchair gives you freedom. Like the confinement is when you don't have a wheelchair, when you need one.
Yeah, even hearing those stories about feeling confined or people being stuck in their homes or just kind of shunned aside from the rest of the community, it seemed like as soon as they had a wheelchair and then they came out and they were at the schools or at activities or at their church, or, all of a sudden it's like inclusive and very welcoming. It's just, I think just the stigma of not being able to be helpful or not being able to be free to be involved in so many things. And then, you have to be left at home because you're so needy, or, it's so hard these people don't just go jump into the car and drive over to wherever. These guys are walking and using donkey carts and as their taxis. They've all sorts of different kind of taxi things, but it's not easy, and you take a lot of stuff for granted. It was unreal how much. It wasn't just like we went to one little village and that's how things were, but that like a larger part of our experience, we got to see how people live. And it's not like, oh, poor people in Ethiopia, it's so sad. Like they're like, for the most part, like people were amazing and very loving. And
yeah, I actually was very envious of a lot of things over there. They live just such a beautiful, more simple life. Like I was thinking as a parent, like we have so many things to deal with here in our first world country with cell phones and video games and trying to keep our kids active and get them outside playing and keep them away from pornography and keeping them off of social media where they're going to be tainted by people. And like the driving through the villages and stuff, like in the evenings, like we saw just kids running around free. Like this, they have these tiny little homes, but they're just running around playing, and their families are gathering together outside to cook their food over a fire, and they're just spending this quality time together and like visiting in the streets. Like there were so many people out and about, just like such a social culture. And I'm thinking like the only time we get out and visit and see our neighbors is like if we're at church or go to a specific function that's a party or something, but they're just mingling and interacting with each other all day, every day. So yeah, I don't want to give off the impression by any means that the Ethiopian culture is to be looked on like, oh, they're so poor and helpless or whatever, because I think they have like so much beauty in their culture and traditions and so much respect in their how they respect each other's religions and different things. The biggest takeaway for me and the people that I was feeling for the most were like the mothers of these children who were disabled, because I feel like they had such a burden to carry. Like as the mother of these children, they have the responsibility to make sure that they feel like their kids are having a good life and like they're getting out and about, but I feel like they have no resources. And so there was just a look in their eyes that just felt so, I guess, hopeless, which is why like share the hope, like giving them these wheelchairs to where their kids could sit up and they could push them outside to get sunlight, and they could take them places with them easier, and they could attend school and all these things. Like I think it impacted the caregivers, which were mostly mothers that we saw, so much. And Heather, one of the founders of Share the Hope, she gave just a beautiful little speech to the mothers before we did the wheelchair distributions, and like the moms were just in tears, and it's almost like they felt like they couldn't express emotions. They were kind of like sheepish about like wiping their tears, but it felt to me, looking at them and just feeling like mom heart to mom heart, that they were just getting validated maybe for the first time in their life on how much they sacrifice for these babies that they have. And yeah, it was just
definitely saw that in their faces the second that they were given recognition, that somebody understood their pain, their suffering, their sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like as soon as that was validated, like just all these women's faces just like open the floodgates. They were, expressing just so much emotion came through when it was validated. And I think they do just go for ever on their own. And most of the time, it seemed like there were a couple of men, a couple of dads, but it sounds like from what we were seeing and learning about that, the men usually don't get too involved in that continued care. That I don't know if they've got a lot of other responsibilities. They don't have running water. A lot of them, they, back and forth to the lake and rivers to.
Well, in the running water they do have, they can't drink or use.
Yeah.
Really. So speaking of mothers, though, let's talk about Matthew and his mom, who was in a completely hopeless and desperate situation. I mean, she was just overwhelmed with emotion, just feeling so hopeless. And we had a translator with us the whole time, so it was really cool to be able to hear what she was thinking and saying. And she talks about how, so her son was paralyzed in a landslide 9 months ago, and he's an active 16-year-old boy. He loves to play soccer, and for her as a mom, it was just devastating. And she just kept saying she had no resources, and she just felt like giving up. And she knows that her son was feeling like giving up, which I can't even imagine how hard that would be as a mom. But yeah, I think, Dan, talk about the nitty-gritty details of what it looks like to become paralyzed when you don't have resources, for people that don't really understand
the first things that I was looking at and feeling for him, I could just see this lost look in his eyes, he was just almost shallow, just a shell for a minute. And so I grabbed Nate and I was like, dude, we've got to talk to him for a minute. And as far as when you become paralyzed, and it's different for everybody to some degree, but at some point you're faced with, on a spinal cord injury, your bowels and bladder being affected in one way or another. Your ability to just urinate or control your bowel movements and stuff is what comes to mind first. When I was in the hospital originally and dealing with my first care on this whole spinal cord world. I mean, hats off to the men and women, boys and girls and kids that go into being CNAs, because oh my gosh, like for a while, every time I would be moving and trying to transfer, like really exerting my body force, trying to like move out of my chair or move from the ground up to my chair, and I just like bearing down on stuff, like bearing down, trying to get strength in my arms and to my body, like be having accidents and like trying to get your diet right and everything. When you're in the hospital, they're just giving you all sorts of stool softener, and just like my biggest things that started to wear on me was the fact that I kept having accidents every time I was trying to transfer. It was humiliating. It was beyond aggravating. Like I couldn't control it. You know, I'd go to transfer to the PT table, and you know, all of a sudden, I catch a whiff of poop, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so, like, you get right back in my chair and just head out of there, just, angry and frustrated. You don't have that control. But when I saw Matthew and we were talking with him, like immediately I was like, how in the world is he doing this? When I was in the hospital, of course I had a Foley catheter, which is, because I couldn't pee, they have a catheter, a tube that goes inside your, down in your penis, and you're peeing into a bag all day. And then when you're graduating from that, you learn to self-cath and straight cath yourself. But you have to have medical supplies and things, and a lot of cleanliness when you're dealing with all of this, because you're entering into your body. And if you're not doing things clean and taking care of yourself, you're like, immediately you end up with infections, and infections turn gnarly so quick. A year and a half ago, I was in December, I was put into a medically induced coma while we tried to figure out what was wrong with my body. And it turned out it was a UTI that had shut me down at that point. And my body had gone nuts. Like, I didn't have any control of my mind. I was confused. I didn't know who or what I was. And it was like a drug addict, like completely just lost and tweaking out. Like, I was weird watching the videos of it, but
you were hallucinating and stuff. But
so watching this kid, and he was just a kid, like the look on his face, as soon as I started talking to him about, I was like, man, like talking about how was he going to the bathroom, and like, what's going on? Like, I know this is frustrating for you, and it's just a part of the process. Like, you're going to learn, you're going to be able to get a hold of it. You're not going to be dealing with this struggle forever, as I was thinking of having supplies and stuff. But
yeah, because let's talk about supplies before you go into that, because when you're in the hospital and you realize that you've had a bowel accident, what's your next step? You go up to your room, you shower in a nice clean shower.
You have people helping.
You have someone that can throw your clothes in the washing machine. If you got on your clothes, you have Depends that you can put on if you have like runny stools and you're having a problem, so that it's not like getting everywhere. Like, the resources that you have here, like, yeah, it sucks when that happens, but you can go take care of it. If that happens when we're at home, like, which very rarely, but if Dan's on antibiotics or something and it makes his stools loose, like occasionally that will happen, and he can get right in the shower and we can clean his clothes, and like, the resources are just not there so I mean, imagine a 16-year-old boy and how just dehumanizing and humiliating and hopeless that's making him feel day in and day out.
My first big breakdown to my occupational therapist, like, I was trying to be tough. I was a strong single dad guy. My divorce finalized. I was taking on the world, and, I had everything. I was trying to be positive, but man, when it like just kept on chipping away at my core, and then finally my meltdown was like, man, like, when does this stop? Like, am I going to be able to control it. Like I don't know what I'm going to do for a living, and I can't stop crapping myself. Like that. And then sex, like I was like, I don't even want to live. I don't want that. Like I don't want to be doing this every day. I don't want this life. Like, and then my therapist was amazing for making me like voice out what my concerns were. And then she's just like, okay, well, like we can fix it. Like there's things he can do.
Yeah.
But as I was thinking about Matthew, it's
here there are things you can do.
yeah,
right?
Matthew, we need to find ways to help him out because he doesn't have. I'm sure I didn't get a chance to get into how he goes to the bathroom. Like if he's got catheter stuff at all, I doubt it. I know your body and your brain can train and do a lot of things, but as far as long-term sustaining of health, he's not going to be able to do it without some sort of help somewhere coming in. Like,
well, Nathan was saying that oftentimes they just kind of wrap them in a sheet because they know like within however much time they're going to have an accident, then they can just kind of gather the sheet up and take it out. But yeah, even here, like something so simple as like taking Imodium that can help stop that. Like he's not going to have access to Imodium. He's not going to have access to clean catheters to prevent getting UTIs and infections. And also his back was covered in bed sores because he's just in bed
up to the
day.
point where we brought him a wheelchair. He's just been stuck. He was a big boy. He's like 5'9", probably, just tall, skinny boy. And his mom was this little 5'5" lady, just really sweet and humble. And she didn't know what to do to help get him around. You know, she's just a little older lady trying to do the best she can. And she was so thankful when she was having this connection with her son that was finally like cracking through this shell of nobody's able to talk to her son about what's going on because nobody else is experiencing it. And nobody can tell him anything or tell her anything. She's, there's like a humility and a barrier there between a mom and a son too, I'm sure. And it's just, up to that point, he's just been laying in bed and he's got sores and no supplies. And as we talked to her and talked to him about it, she's like, yeah, we don't have anything. Like we need stuff, but.
So when we were in Ethiopia, we were working hand in hand with an organization called KENNA for Kids with Disabilities. This beautiful Mother Teresa-esque woman named Halima, and she runs an organization where she sees kids with disability. Like she sees them and she seeks them out and she helps them and she gets them chairs and she gets them supplies and whatever. So I spoke with her saying like, what can we do for Matthew? Like we're going to go back to the US. We're going to leave them. Like we're going to move on with our lives. Like, is there anything that we can do for him? Because out of all the people, like his story stuck out to us the most as just him needing these supplies. Like a lot of the other kids were disabled from birth and different things. But this Matthew that just recently became disabled, I mean, he was just devastated. So Halima let us know that if we donated money to her organization on behalf of Matthew, then she would make sure that he got supplies. And I 1,000,000% trust her. She's absolutely incredible. So like I said in the beginning, all the ad revenue proceeds this month from this video are going to be going towards given to KENNA for Kids with Disabilities so that she can help Matthew get the supplies that he needs and help his mom.
And also, as long as people are wanting to donate on their own, you can go to the Share the Hope page.
Yeah, we'll put links in the description.
Yeah, there'll be links in there. But yeah, they're aware also. So anything on there, you can make notes in your donations and stuff too, indicating that's what you're wanting to do. And we'll make sure that all of our efforts get over there to help him. It's such a daunting thought because even initially we're like, well, gosh, what can we do to help? Like get him a bunch of stuff. But then
what happens
once
when it runs out?
he's used to using these supplies and like his life is going good now for a minute and he's able to find balance and order and whatever, then all of a sudden, there's nothing else left. It's scary. They don't have insurance. They don't have whatever medical drop-offs and shipments showing up nonstop to make it easy. So
Yeah, it's pretty daunting. It left us feeling very helpless when we left there, like just
Yeah.
feeling so
didn't want to leave.
overwhelmed, like just like we can't help everybody, but we want to help everybody. It just was, yeah. It's taken some time to try and adjust back to normal life and the abundance that we have here. Just picturing all of these sweet kids that we met in person and knowing their stories and knowing their struggles and what they're dealing with every day and what their moms and caregivers are dealing with every day. But let's talk about some of the positive things. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the sweet little girls that took off in their wheelchairs and like how exciting it was for these people to get their wheelchairs.
In that same village or community where Matthew was, there was this little girl. Oh my gosh, she was adorable. When you see our trip videos, you'll see who I'm talking about. She has like this little brown
We'll
collar on her
insert a
neck.
video here
Yeah.
with her. She's
And
so sweet.
She had so much spunk in her, man. Like at first she wasn't saying anything, and then as soon as she got in that chair, she's like, our interpreter was telling us everything. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be helping my mom do the dishes. I'm gonna be helping to clean. I'm gonna help guard the house. I'm gonna help do this. Like I'm gonna get
go
a
to
job.
church.
I'm gonna go
I'm
to
gonna
church.
go to
Yeah, and
school.
she's like this little thing, and then I forget the reason why. All of a sudden, we had a call or some reason why we were talking to our daughter.
Well,
we
I
just
just
call her.
mentioned that it was her birthday or something.
Yeah, so something distracted me from talking with this girl for a minute, like where my eyes left her, and she's like, hey. The interpreter's like, is like, Dan, she's getting mad. She's like, why are you not talking to me? Do you not care? Like she's like, instantly I took away her platform. But she was so spunky and adorable, and that wheelchair just meant all of a sudden her world just elevated, and she wasn't going to be stuck anymore. She had the whole world in front of her, and that was the attitude that so many people had. Like it was people just don't realize how amazing a wheelchair is for somebody that doesn't have the means to get around. Like it was so awesome to just see her just boom, she lit up. And a couple of the other girls, there were some like 10-year-old girls and 10 and 12-year-old girls that one of the distributions, and as soon as they got into a wheelchair, oh my gosh, they're like zoom, cruising away and cruising around and like wanting to race, like antagonizing Nate and I about wanting to race us. And
Well, imagine like just the only way that you have to get around is by somebody carrying you. So you can't, I know that like even when Marley rides on your lap and she's like, Dad, go forward. Dad, move. Dad, go left. Like she gets so frustrated that she's not in control. And Dan's
yeah,
like, if you want to go that way, you can get up and walk, But these girls, these kids, these people they can't do something as simple as like choosing whether they go left or right or straight or up or down or where they're going to go. But once they get in the wheelchair, it's like, man, that's full freedom. Like I can go this way if I want. I can go that way if I want. And nobody else can tell me otherwise. Like
can get away from their mom. They're just like zoom.
it was so cool to see. It was just beautiful. And like they had, like our son, Noah, he's 18, and it was just so incredible as parents to watch him. We'll put some videos in here of him too. He just, now, like, I want to paint a picture that these kids, a lot of them are, they don't have daily baths. Some of them were obviously sick. They have flies all over them. They're mentally and physically disabled, a lot of them. They smell of urine, and they're not the kids that we're used to seeing here in the United States. And our son just went and scooped them up and loved them and carried them to their new wheelchair. And he, picked up the little kids and was throwing them up in the air and like playing with them. And our son Uriah was, arm wrestling with the boys and playing soccer and handing out soccer jerseys to kids. And like, it just was so incredible as parents to see our sons interacting and loving unconditionally like that, and just such a beautiful like
It was,
combination of cultures and yeah, it was so
when Noah
fun.
was talking about the experience, I just like who scripted that for him? Like all of a sudden he's just had this big compassionate heart, and like he'd fallen in love with the people and the work, and like that feeling as a kid. You can imagine, like kids nowadays, like they have social media, they have everything they want at the whatever they want, they can get it that, instantly. And like, I don't know, it was amazing to just see him naturally reset to this caring, compassionate boy that was just like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is amazing. Like, love the feeling of helping, and just, yeah, to see him picking these kids up and just pulling them in close, and, just loving and not even thinking about anything negative or dirty, or like, it was just beautiful to see. And the whole group, like, you're just in that environment. It was so cool to just see like the snuggles, the hugs, and the kissing these little babies and these young ones. Just like, oh my gosh, like the love was so abundant both ways. It was awesome. Everybody, it's like you put your hand over your heart and kind of bow your head a little bit, just as a normal, like, letting people know that I see you, I respect you, and it was in return just nonstop everywhere we went. Just these men, women, and kids, just like trying to, just knowing that that's the only thing we can really do to communicate with a lot of them. It was just like, that's all that we need to say, is just like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, it was awesome.
We also got the opportunity to go into a few different homes of people, which by homes, it was, a very small square cement floor with a mattress on the floor and like a little tiny burner stove thing, and a bathroom that was shared amongst like the whole community. And by bathroom, I just mean like a toilet, not a shower. And then they have like a running water outside in the courtyard that you can use to clean yourself or clean your clothes or whatever. But yeah, it was so humbling. The first house that we went into was an 18-year-old girl, and she had received a wheelchair a year ago when she was 17 through KENNA for kids. And she was just telling us like how she wants to be a doctor and teacher. She was able to go to school for the first time. She was able to get out and like get in the community and go to the holiday celebrations and stuff. She said when she went to the holiday celebration for the first time last year, like people had no idea who she was because she had never left the house. Even her extended family that lived in the area, like they were like, who's that girl? Because nobody knew who she was. That's how secluded people are when they're in wheelchairs. And then the other one that stood out a ton was the last house we went to, and it was a mom. She had been paralyzed when she was, I think,
7 or
9.
I can't remember.
In a car accident, and she had 2 sets of twins and then 2 other kids. So she had 6 kids, and her husband had left her after the last one was born, and it was her. There was a mattress on the floor, a dresser, a stone floor, no running water like in her little facility, and her 6 kids, and they ranged in age. I think the oldest was 9 or 11.
11.
The youngest twins were 6, right? The little girl.
How old was the girl?
Yeah, she was 6. She told me.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the same age as our daughter. I remember because I was like, she looks really little for a 6-year-old. But anyways, just such a humbling situation. Like she through KENNA for Kids, got her wheelchair a while ago, but she was in dire need of a replacement. So we brought her a new one, and she was so thankful. But we'll put in some video clips from her and from her sweet little girl and her babies. And man, one of her sons, I think he was 9, but we were asking them
profound.
we were asking them about like what they think about their mom or what they've learned from her or something like that. And he just had like the most profound thing to say, how he wanted to grow up and he wanted to be an advocate for people with disabilities and show people that like people with disabilities can do things, can be amazing people, and like so crazy to hear coming out of this little tiny kid's mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just all so incredible. But if logistically, I'm sure some of you are wondering, like, how did we get 280 wheelchairs over to Ethiopia? So Chair the Hope has like such an incredible organization. This was, I think, their 27th trip and over the last 7 years, I think. And they just have everything working like clockwork. Like they have guides set up. They have like partnerships with humanitarian programs on the ground in whatever country they're going to next. And then they have their wheelchairs manufactured in China and shipped over to the country so that they get delivered on location to the different places that we do the distributions. They come in boxes. I'll put some video here. You basically just have to take the body of the wheelchair out. The wheels are already attached. You put the leg rests on. And anyways, we assembled, like with our group of 16 people, we assembled like on the last one, I think it was 50
was the
50
biggest.
chairs, and it did not take too long. And then
Jeez,
to see all those chairs just lined up and waiting for people that are going to get so much freedom
They
by
were
having the chairs.
Different sizes. We had like little ones for the little kids and medium and then big. And then we had some that had like all the extra supports for your head, neck, and trunk for people that didn't have some of that other control. They're not like the greatest wheelchairs. They're not like what I have. In fact, I tried to use one and just, it was so much different to use that from what I use, but for somebody to just be able to be mobile and active, like it works. And they figured that those wheelchairs, they're built to last about 7 years is what they estimate. And then, just the way that the different the organization is set up, like some people were getting their second chair, after a while. And it's just cool. Like all the work that goes into it with Chair the Hope, their kids are all involved in planning and scheduling and helping to set things up. Like there's so much. I was really impressed with their whole family, just all the work that everybody just jumped in to do.
And they have it, I think each wheelchair is $200 or $300 or something. And so they have it set up on their website where you can set up like a monthly donation, or you can just donate a lump sum. They're funded through, obviously, like donations. They're a nonprofit. They've got a few businesses that give donations yearly to help get several hundred wheelchairs out to people. But yeah, again, we'll put a link in the description if you have a desire to donate to them or to donate to help Matthew. But yeah, other than that, I think we should leave some time here so that we can put in a few of the video clips that our awesome photographer, Jason, videographer and photographer, put together. And we'll share some of those with you. And what do you think? Is there anything else you want to share?
I just want to give credit for the KENNA for Kids. KENNA is how do you say her name again? Halima, thank you.
Her son's name is KENNA.
Yeah, so she set up the foundation. Her initial foundation, and was set up with his name. And gosh, she is like Mother Teresa. I just want to give credit to her and recognize her son and what that love has done for that mom. And now she like takes care of over 5,000 people, feeding them, taking care of them, and working through all these different things, being a part of all these different organizations and things to help just so many people. Beautiful.
Pretty inspiring. Between Heather Ogden and Halima, and then the woman, I can't remember her name, at the shelter that feeds 5,000 people, up to 5,000 people every single day. Like, just inspiring people. We won't leave Nate out.
Too.
You guys, Nate is quadriplegic. Dan's paraplegic. The two of them were both on this trip, and the way that they razzed each other and made fun of each other's disabilities was wild. Every time Nate tried to roll somewhere, Dan was grabbing the back of his wheelchair and pulling him back. And And Nate's asking Dan how long he's known that he was ugly, and just constantly razzing each other. But anyways, amazing trip. We're so thankful for it.
God,
We're
so much.
there we could talk for hours, but
Yeah.
Check out our social media. Our Instagram page is probably where we have the most, and like the shorts from our trip. And we went to Egypt too for a couple days just on leisure before we made it to Ethiopia.
Yeah,
But
I got to ride a camel.
yeah,
And
so
camel
many.
tried to give me a scare for a minute. Tried
Yeah,
to
that was
take
crazy.
off without me, but
Well, I was trying to convince Dan not to get on the camel because they are so freaking
Like
tall, and all I could do was
15 feet
picture
up
him
there.
falling off of it and being in the desert in Egypt and not having any resources and whatever. But yeah, the camels like lay down and you saddle on them, and then the person like tells them to slowly get up and whatever. But Dan got on his, he was still side saddle, and the camel just shot straight up like 15 feet up in the air.
Yeah, I just put my hands on him and went to like lift and turn my body. So I just got my butt right onto the saddle thing, and all of a
Oh
sudden
my gosh.
went,
I was in total
and
panic.
like they stand up like butt first, or I don't know.
Yeah, I
first,
think
whatever.
they do. Yeah,
So all of a
because you
sudden
kind
I'm,
of
like,
lean
going
forward
that
and then
way.
lean back.
I'm like sitting sideways, and it's doing all this stuff to stand up, and I've been just holding on there for a minute. And then when I'm up there 20 feet and throwing my leg over the head of him.
Wild.
Pepsi, naughty camel. That's his name.
Wild. All right. So I told you that we get to the reason why we are calling this boy Matthew. It's because the scripture that we wanted to share today is Matthew 25:40. And it says, "And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me." So we just wanted to leave that with you. And I know that Jesus, when he's saying the least of these my brethren, it's just saying, people that are without or struggling or whatever. And that's definitely the people that we encountered in Ethiopia. So check out Share the Hope, check out KENNA for Kids. If you feel it in your heart to donate to help Matthew with supplies, like we'd love to have you share this. And yeah.
Absolutely. Get on and donate if you can on Share the Hope. Go to Share the Hope, and we'll just have different links on there. Anyways, you guys, check it all out. It's just an amazing mission to get out and do all this, and we're blessed to be able to be a part of it. So
yep.
it was
If you like
amazing.
this video, check out our other podcasts. We'll put a link here to one of them, and then make sure you
remember to punch today in the face.
We came from far across the sea, with wheels and hearts and good company. No big speeches, no grand parade, just open arms and hands that gave. Children danced and mothers cried, but joy was shining in their eyes. A little chair, a whole new view, and somehow it changed us too.
All right, as Chair of the Hope, we are here at Babu Khair Center in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And this facility is amazing. They feed 5,000 people a day. 5,000. And we were able to come in today to sit down with the founders and then go see how they make all the food in the different rooms that they have, stir the pots with all the stew in it, and then we got to physically go hand out food to thousands of people today, and to meet them, to try and shake their hands, give them hugs, communicate the best we can, even though we don't speak their language. This facility and others like it are saving people's lives. Here's 120 people volunteer here. This is amazing. It reminds me, when I just hear the feeding the 5,000, it makes me think of the Savior. And when he fed the 5,000, it's not a whole lot different than this. Serving others, helping lift them to a new level. That's what this is all about.
Rolling with love, rolling with grace, bringing a smile to every face. One by one we lift and move. Everything's gonna be alright.
most incredible thing on the planet. Never have I been outside of the country and felt so much love and compassion. They loved us like we were part of the tribe.
Kyla pushed and Cortland smiled. Noah held the line a while. Uriah made the children laugh, and time just seemed to float on past. We served the food, we shared the floor, then danced until we asked for more. We didn't come to fix or preach, just let our hearts and hands reach. Rolling with love, rolling with grace, bringing a smile to every face. One by one we lift and move. Everything's gonna be alright. Hope is rolling through.
Today we helped a lot of women and children and families get some food. It was so fun. There's nothing like it.
Seeing all the people I was about to feed was an amazing experience. I don't know, I was overwhelmed with joy and happiness that I was able to do something to help these people in their current situation. I love meeting all the people, all their smiles, their faces, their beautiful families. It was very incredible. I loved it.
Rolling with love, rolling with pride, bringing the light where hope once cried. No cape, no crown, just hearts that move. Everything's gonna be alright. And now the hope rolls back to you.
I'm Heather Ogden, and we are in Ethiopia. And what a blessing it has been to be able to come and deliver 280 wheelchairs to these beautiful people. As you can see kind of in the background even, we have people that are going crazy in their new wheelchairs. It is such an opportunity for us to bring not only hope, but also mobility. And many of these people have walked for miles and miles to be able to get here. Some of these children have not even been out of bed ever in their lives. They've been in their homes. And we are here to bring their families and them a chance for a new life, to be able to go to school, church, and just be able to get out and be with their neighbors. We're super excited to be here.
We came with wheels and open hands, rolling hope across the land. Smiles rose like morning light. Joy broke through and took flight. Let it shine through. From me to you, from you to truth. Let it roll, let the love move. Share the hope, we dance in truth. Hey, let it shine through. 250 chairs and a sky so blue. This is what we came to do. Let it shine through.
Today has been super awesome. Honestly, this whole trip here in Ethiopia has been great. This is the first trip that we've done where we've mainly done wheelchairs for kids, and it's been super awesome to be able to connect with the kids, connect with their families. Many of them, this is their first chair they've ever had, so it's been super cool to see how it's going to change their life and see them pushing around for the first time. But it's been really special to be able to connect with each of these kids.
Let it shine through. From me to you, from you to truth. Let it roll, let the love move. Share the hope, we dance in truth. Let it shine through. 250 chairs and a sky so blue. This is what we came to do. Let it shine through.